ready to join our dress together. We're nearly finished. We're just going to join it together right side to right side and stitch along the shoulder seams. And once we've done that, we're going to neaten it up with some bias binding around the armholes and around the neck hole. I've already overcast my edge on both sides, and I'm going to sew it together with a straight stitch with the standard 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to make the bias binding for my armholes and my neck hole. You can either buy pre-made bias binding tape if you can find a good colour to match, or if you can't find the pre-made tape, you can make your own. So to make my own, I've cut my strips on the bias and I'm using a bias binder maker. Now on the back of these it tells you the finished width of the bias binding, and when you're cutting your strips you need to make it twice as big as the measurement on the back. I need 2 strips for my armholes. So the armhole strips are 20 inches, and then I need a long strip to go around the neck, and that's 28 inches. So I'm just going to prepare my bias binding. It's good if you cut it at an angle because it's easier to feed through the holder. So I'm just going to pop it in, and I'm just going to use a pin to pull it through, and then you just drag it through, and there it's made the tape, and then iron it into position. So I just pull it through a little bit, then I can place my iron on it and just slowly work back. So now I'm going to sew the binding around the armholes. I've got one of my shorter strips, and I'm just going to pin it into place so I can then do a running stitch around the edge. So I'm just going to fold it over to neaten my edge and place pins around it. So now I'm ready to sew my straight seam around the edge to hold my bias binding down. Nearly there. Okay, great, and that's that done. When sewing the neckline, you just need to fold the tape over so you've got a nice neat end, and then you can place that over the top of the zip. And once I've pinned all the way around, I do the same thing at the other end. So I finished the armholes and finished putting the bias tape around the neck. Then the next stage was to sew the side seams together with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then finally I overcast the hem, and that's us nearly finished. So now all I need to do is to put the ruffle on the bottom, and then we're done.